Very, very shortly, we're going to be joined from Lake Atitlan in Guatemala by author Shar Veda, who will be speaking to us about Starseed Nation, Ascension into 5D, her new book. And here is an introduction about Shar Veda. Shar Veda is a health counselor, healer, writer, and channel. She has worked as health counselor in 2 homes for at-risk teen girls, run her own small wellness and lifestyle clinic, written over 100 articles on conscious, high vibration beauty, wellness, and lifestyle for magazines like American Spa and Mother Earth Living. Starseed Nation is her first book. She started the book in 2012 during the Venus Retrograde, living in Wilmington, North Carolina. She says it was originally set to be about an intuitive 15-year-old teen girl from a long line of women seers and healers, reconnecting with her dead grandma and welcoming the elements in a sort of rite of passage. However, when she moved to Southern Oregon, 75 miles north of Mount Shasta, California, she picked up a channel that insisted on being included. Inner Earth, Galactic Council, Galactic Federation of Light, political agenda, and extreme weather poured forth. She simply allowed herself to do automatic writing, and whole scenes were birthed. She says for her, this channel is not so much about, quote, full disclosure, like it is for so many others. It's about what Earth Root Chakra wanted to communicate. Her vision is to one day start a school for gifted girls to grow the natural ESPs like telepathy, that it is the natural birthright of every human child, and get shut down with harsh conditions like violence, violent entertainment, fast foods, chemtrails, and non-use, and those manipulative technologies. This is Shar Veda's book, Starseed Nation, Ascension into 5D. And here she is. She has just arrived in from, and she is coming to us from Lake Atitlan in Guatemala. Can you hear us?
Yes. Hi, Alfred.
Yeah. Hi there. You're in Lake Atitlan, Guatemala, and we're in Vancouver, Canada. And this is another example of the eel and the condor, or, whatever. I think that there are condors down there, right? Or something.
Yes, there are.
And
let me show you a view of the lake. I was going to try to do it outside, but it's a little bit noisy.
Okay.
And the volcanoes?
Oh, wow. Look at that. Look at that. Yeah. Lake Atitlan. Now tell us a bit about what Lake Atitlan is, because I actually went through there. Let's see. I went through there about 40. I went through there almost 60 years ago. Isn't that amazing?
It is. It's a beautiful lake. I was actually swimming. And I went to, our audio is a little bit off. I wonder if it's on my side. Let's still try.
Your audio is coming through clear. How is my audio? Is it sketchy?
Yeah, it's a bit sketchy.
Sketchy. Okay, let me do this and see if it improves. Just a second. I had thought that I had worked this out, but apparently not. Okay, so is this better for you?
Yes, thanks.
Oh, good. Great. Okay, so, well, tell us a bit about Lake Atitlan and how we have already done your introduction, so people know about, they know about Starseed Nation, Ascension into 5D, and they know a bit about your background. And how was it that you arrived at Lake Atitlan? What is Lake Atitlan? Why are you there? It's kind of a mystery, right? Tell us.
It is a mystery. Life is a mystery, Alfred. So I arrived just in time to see the founder of Las Piramidales speak. She's about your age, and she came here in 1989 and is the founder of the metaphysical school, Las Piramidales, a meditation center also.
Wow.
And she speaks about, you know, some things that I have in my book, like astral travel and lucid dreaming. Hey, and she's doing a moon course. They have a moon course, a sun course. And I just went in for like 3 or 4 lectures. Oh, the internet connection is unstable, it says. Let's just keep trying. But there was a 13-year-old girl in that class, which I love, because I think youth, you know, should be educated in those things young, because they have so much. We all have psychic powers when we're born in ESPs and things, especially children, and most children lose those ESPs. So, you know, for things in the world like, are you there?
Yeah, I'm right here.
I wasn't sure if it was first or not.
Oh yeah, we're here.
I like to work with youth. I worked at 2 girls' houses, and I have a vision of one day opening a girls' house, or maybe for both kids. Could be a girls' house and a boys' house. But Shar Veda's New Atlantis, home for gifted girls.
Uh-huh.
And, you know, I have a long life ahead of me, and I still enjoy traveling. But what I want to do is take the girls young and keep their ESPs open, and, you know, and improve their communication skills with simple things like meditation and gazing at a candle flame and working with the elements in ritual, and keeping violence out of their lives. I believe, Alfred, that the reason there's so much violence in media and entertainment is to keep our psychic abilities, or is to close our psychic abilities down at a young age and keep them closed.
Well, that's a very wise insight. And you're right. You're absolutely right. That is the agenda of the forces that are infiltrated by the dark energy. And that's their agenda, and they can't seem to move beyond it. However, we're aware of beyond it, so we can move beyond their agenda. Yeah, so tell us more.
So let's talk a little bit about me. Back in 2012, I've always been sensitive, though. I've always been a sensitive young woman. And nobody in my family that I know of, my mom's adopted, so it's possible that her mother did, had any psychic abilities. But I was always sensitive. I could communicate with plants and animals. I always have the communication of plants and animals and things, and working with elements. But I never wanted to watch violent entertainments. Like, you know, everyone watches violent movies. They listen to, you can't even put the top 100 rap or hip hop songs on without violence in almost every song. It's like you got to close your ears to everything wherever you go. So when I was growing up, like I was in a normal family, you know, my dad likes scary movies, and, you know, girls around me, I was, you know, would watch movies like Freddy Krueger and stuff. And I remember they would make fun of me sometimes because I couldn't watch violence. I would leave parties and stuff sometimes. So I did my best to keep, you know, violence out of my life, and keep those impressions from being imprinted into my sensitive subconscious. Because that's what happens. People watch violence and entertainment and listen to that stuff, and then they become victims. And I would like to be part of boycotting violence in the future. No violent entertainment, especially safeguarding our children. Like, even speaking to my father, I love my father so much, but, you know, I travel around the world by myself sometimes, and I'm protected and I'm intuitive and I don't put myself in dangerous situations. But, you know, my dad said to me last time I was there something about, don't turn your back, sure, that's when you get it hit in the head. I was like, Dad, you watch too many TV shows.
Right, because in order to grab their viewers, and in order to have the viewership for their audiences, and in order to fulfill the Luciferian agenda of the controllers of the 6 companies that control all the television networks, right? I'm kind of connecting dots, but they're reasonably connected dots. I mean, we have done programmings that actually connect all of those dots, that the corporations that control all of those television companies, that their owners, you know, do Luciferian sacrifices, and that comes through in the programming. I mean, yeah, so everything that you say is completely, you know, you aren't making outrageous statements, and you're making very, very logical statements, and I can see how your soul is really rebelling against having to ingest the violence. You know, I mean, this is an exceptionally violent planet. I mean, it's just astoundingly violent.
Yep. So, you know, and people watch those things and they kind of think it's normal almost. I worked at a girl's house in Oregon for a shelter for pregnant teenage moms. That was a tough one. And they would watch, you know, NCIS, like whatever that is. And it's all about like rape. You can't put an episode on without rape or abuse or incest or something. And those girls watch that stuff and they think, okay, maybe, you know, what happens to me is not so bad. It's fun. It's so intertwined. Like, where does it start? But, you know, I would like to see in my lifetime people stop buying into the violent entertainment, because then they wouldn't be making it as much.
Right, exactly. Well, tell us, we gave a story about, we did the background about your coming up to Mount Shasta, and then suddenly a channel coming in. I know in the conversation when you and I met in...
A sidetrack, I'm sorry. I can do that sometimes. Let me go back to that point. So back in 2012, I was a sensitive child, and, you know, now I'm going to just fast forward into my adulthood. I'm still sensitive, always will be sensitive. I appreciate that. So, because that's where gifts come in, and intuition and psychic abilities from softness. So I then was a health counselor running my own health clinic and stuff in North Carolina, working with people, working with wounded warriors who had their spines blown out in Wilmington, North Carolina on the East Coast. And I started to write my book. I'll just go right into this. In 2012, during the Venus Retrograde, I'm an astrologer, so I speak a little bit about astrology. And at that time, there was well, you know, at the end of the Mayan calendar, 2012, it was very pivotal time energetically. And I would sometimes wake up in bed, and I'm not as eccentric as some of your guests. I will put that out there. I mean, I'm a little eccentric, but not so. But I would wake up in bed sometimes and I would be vibrating. And I guess my friend said I was being recalibrated. And I was starting to get much more telepathies and channeling abilities, writing. And once I called an element into the fire, and I started to say, this is a little bit too much for me. I just want to be a normal person. And that's what this girl says. She starts to say, because sometimes gifts can be scary. Sometimes they can be scary and you don't know what to do with them because no one ever told you. And this is, you know, because I went through this and I was scared to grow my own gifts as a young adult. I want to help girls that are going through the same thing, that have those gifts at a young age, grow those skills and gifts without being afraid of them. Now, I will say, I still haven't fully allowed all of the channeling and all the things that I will come into as I get into middle age and older middle age. I'm not in my full power yet, for sure. So, but anyway, so it started in Wilmington, North Carolina, and the book was supposed to be just about a 15-year-old intuitive, sensitive girl welcoming the elements in a sort of rite of passage and reconnecting with her dead grandmother, who was telepathic, and that's the only one in her family that she identified with because of the telepathies, and no one else, you know, in her life did any of that stuff. So her grandmom died, and now she's 15 and starts out, and it's based in North Carolina at the beach. So then I moved to the West Coast, and I'm in Ashland near Mount Shasta. And that's where I picked up the Galactic Channel for the first time. And it completely changed the book. And I would just do automatic writing for chapters. It still took me 5 years to write the book. I'm not saying it was easy. It still took 5 years. And then I was channeling inner Earth, and I could visualize it. I could see inner Earth, and I was able to visualize the species, the different species at the Galactic Round Table. And I was also downloaded with the agenda. Also extreme weather comes into it, and water scarcity, then sucking all of the water out of Earth. And I think this might be why I picked it up at Mount Shasta, because it's happening in Mount Shasta. Nestle is sucking all the water out of Mount Shasta and making plastic bottles with it. Okay, I'll stop talking for a little bit because I might tend to get off track sometimes.
Okay, well, let me ask you something. You suggested when we were talking, preparing our conversation today, that I might take a look at some passages in your book, which I have here, and that I might read them. The first one is on New Earth star seeds. Is that something that you'd like me to do? I'd be very happy to do it.
Yes, please.
Okay, good. So I will do that, and then I'm going to ask you after that to really comment on it. You know, how did this come? What does it mean? Where are we going? You know. Okay.
Going, Alfred. I would like to know that also.
Oh, great. Okay, so here we go. And this is from pages 10 to 11 on Shar Veda's new book, Starseed Nation, Ascension into 5D, which was channeled right up against Mount Shasta, which is, there's a whole underground extraterrestrial complex there. So presumably it's where those civilizations want information to get out.
And it's also the root chakra of Earth.
and it's the root chakra of Earth. And you're going to tell us more about that when you come in. While Naya, and you're going to tell us who Naya is, while Naya turns me into a sunscreen-based galactic animal, I pulled YouTube up on my phone and put earbuds in. A Starseed Nation alert pops up as recommended for you. I click and listen, relaxing as Naya paints me ankles to wrists with gold brown smudges and turquoise stars. In that place between sleep and awake, where total relaxation is, the following alert ambles into the deepest part of my brain in a soothing computerized female voice. Quote, Earth is ascending. The purification process, what humans called, quote, extreme weather, is preparing the planet and its inhabitants for her new position in the fifth dimension. To increase the chances of human survival during this process, the Galactic Council is stepping in, actively recruiting high vibration young people known throughout the galaxy as, quote, New Earth Starseeds, to join mission NEAR, N-E-A-R, New Earth Advanced Recalibration. The mission itself, while simple in nature, requires a large team of high-frequency youth to implement. New Earth starseeds will naturally be drawn to the recruitment. If you are listening to this message, chances are you are a starseed. Other signs you are a starseed include extreme sensitivity to and refusal to absorb violence in any form, including entertainment and news. Extreme sensitivity to chemicals, pharmaceuticals, alcohol and drugs, questioning authority when something doesn't seem right, a feeling that you are part of something greater than daily life, a feeling that you have not always lived on Earth, being a big picture thinker, caring immensely about the planet and all of life, and or having an ancestor who has been in contact with extraterrestrials. All are signs that you are a new Earth starseed. If you are a person born in the 21st century with 3 or more of these qualifications, the Galactic Council is looking for you. 2 seats urgently needed filled in the United States chapter of the Galactic Council. Wow. 2 seats. Ask yourself, one could be yours. Starseed youth, step to the calling now. The message plays around and around on a loop while Naya paints me on the lounge chair in the triangle of shade. White light from the sun reflecting on pool water dances behind my eyes, and maybe I see an image of light beings in a circle waiting for me. So now over to you. What does that evoke in you? What are the deeper reflections do you feel having had this channel go through you, and what do you see, etc.?
Well, I believe and know that there are so many intuitive youth on Earth right now to help raise the frequency of the planet. And that's a little bit of a buzzword, but I believe that is the actual mission of starseeds alive on the planet right now. And I also believe it's the mission of the Galactic Federation of Light. look, I am new to, channeling Galactica, and I was a bit afraid of it at first, but the beings who channeled through me were very, very respectful. They were very respectful of my feelings and sensitivities. And I said to them, please come to me in a form that won't scare me. So I think, when I write about Lena, she is definitely a reflection of me. But in a greater sense, a reflection of all of the youth here on Earth now. And this is why I love working with youth, because they are our future. And I want to that's why my work is mostly focused on in life, is for the next generation.
Very good. Very good. So what are your feelings? There are, people have called about Generation X, and then the crystal kids, and there are all these successive generations of star seeds.
Yeah.
And
well, I'm a star. I'm a star seed.
Yeah, I'm a star seed.
Nice. And the founder of Las Pyramides is a star seed, for sure.
Yeah.
So, what are my feelings? What are my feelings? I think that we are at a point in life when we're getting closer and closer to our galactic origin, and we're opening communication much more. I mean, I never thought I was going to be channeling galactic. I would say I'm a pretty down-to-earth person. Some people might think I'm eccentric, but not when you're in a place like San Marcos. I mean, I'm a natural healer, I'm a writer, I'm a health counselor, but I did not think I was going to be channeling Galactica. And I am. And I know it's not going to be the last time. I recently have cause to believe that I have galactic lineage from blue avians. I never thought I would ever be saying that. Oh my gosh.
And what led you to believe that particular strain as opposed to many of the other? The blue comes, there's a lot of blue. I mean, if in the alien lines, but
right.
What led you to that?
What led me to believe that? Okay, I'm gonna list this because I'm just still figuring it out myself. I'm not an expert. I'm definitely, I know all about the health and well-being stuff, but I'm a beginner channel, and I know it's gonna keep going. So I get messages in my dreams. I definitely get messages in my dreams. And I hear telepathy sometimes. And so I've come knowledge to me that the blue avians use telepathy to communicate. I have seen little orbs. And I have blue wings. I have tattoo on my back of blue fairy wings. And I'm definitely bird tribe. I'm definitely bird tribe and wolf, but I love birds, and I have a connection with birds, and I fly around. Okay, and I was working in Iquitos last month with the shamans, and at a place called Temple of the Way of Light, and I could see Egyptian code on the back, just in the air, on the back of everything, like Egyptian code imprinted. And recently, right before I go to sleep, if you use ritual right before you go to sleep, you can communicate with, ancestors, or you can communicate with other beings or guides. And so if you do simple things, like anyone can do this, I'm pretty sure anyone can do it if you're open to it and you have a pretty clear subconscious. But if you gaze at a candle flame for about 45 minutes before you go to sleep, and light some incense, the same kind, drink half a glass of water, use the elements to create a sort of ritual, and say your intention, speak your intention with what you want to know in your dreams, because you're tapping into your subconscious and you're on the astral plane when you dream. So I asked, what is my galactic lineage? I don't want anyone else to tell me. I don't need another person to tell me. I want to find out the answers through myself. So right before I woke up, I saw, a vision of the Balabian, and it was Egyptian print though. It wasn't like, a being like, it was, the symbol of the Egyptian print, the Balabian head. And I definitely have a connection with Egypt. So, I'm Celtic descent, but we all go far back. The old souls, at least.
Very good. Okay. So I'd like to go on now to...
I want to ask you that same question though, Alfred.
Me?
I want to ask you some questions.
Okay. That's fine.
So
Let's do it.
Yeah. So what's your connection with, I know that you're connected to the Galactic Federation of Light and you speak for them and you are going to council with them. Do you know what your lineage is? Or galactic?
Yeah. It's strange because I'm a being that my cohort, from a 3D point of view, I'm what's called the silent generation. I'm actually a pre-boomer. I predate the boomers. I'm like, ooh, way back there. And that's why I think that's part of my mission. My mission is kind of a transitional mission to be like a bridge from the pre-boomers all the way into the ascension. Do you see what I'm saying?
That's so important.
Yeah, I have a foot way back in the past, pre-boomer.
Yeah, you're talking about just this life on Earth.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then the future goes all the way in through the ascension. So that's why I'm here. You see? And then I've written a 750-page book called My Journey Landing Heaven on Earth. It's online, and it takes you through part of the passage and gives you sort of a vision of what that journey is about. Do you see what I'm saying? From my perspective.
So, thank you for that. But so do you have any, I know that you were telling me at one point that you are possibly, or you have reason to believe that you have a seat at the Galactic, I was calling it the Galactic Roundtable, but it's the Galactic Federation of Light.
Yeah. Look, I'm taking all of these things. See, it's so difficult for us. We're in a transitional state now because yourself and myself, you and I are simultaneously part in 3D, we're part in 4D, and we're part in 5D, right? Even in this conversation, because we're in such a transitional state. And we have one foot in the past, one foot in the present, and one foot in the future, all at once, because there is no time.
Right.
Time is just the way that events and realities are sequenced in this particular construct that we call Earth.
So, and you know, bridge is a really important word. I also feel like a bridge. And whether, you know, the information I just gave you about Bolivian, maybe they're just my guides. Maybe I'm talking to them. I am not 100% sure about all that. I just, you know, yet, because I'm just starting, and maybe we'll see. I'm not fully open because I'm still a little bit timid. But I think it's most important for me is that I'm a bridge also. And I think my best work here on Earth is just going to be to get the kids when they're young and help them keep their psychic abilities open so that we can see what can be done with them before they're shut off.
Right. So this is work that we're all doing now, because this is the work of the star seeds, which is actually the work of all of the human beings. Because what we're doing is we're bringing Earth humanity into the larger community. So we are all doing the work of the advanced planets. We are all part of the Federation, and so what because of my we all kind of I'm still answering your question, and because I'm a lawyer, or I've been trained in that way, I tend to be
I'm pretty
long-winded.
political. No, I can tell you're a little bit of a politician too. I won't use that word, but I can tell. It's like, ooh, good. No.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I tend to be discursive, long-winded, and roundabout. So you have to tell me when, okay, I've heard enough. Because I could go all day just answering your question. Do you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But to answer your question, yeah, because when I got seriously into exopolitics, and I wrote my various books in exopolitics, and galactic federations are a manifestation of exopolitics, or the relation of intelligent civilizations in the multiverse or in the omniverse, then I think a lot about these issues, right? So then I began thinking about, well, hey, look at this. Look at this. Guess what? You have a galactic federation, but Earth doesn't have a representative on the Galactic Federation. In other words, you have all these planets and they all deal with each other, but Earth is isolated, right? Isn't that it? Now,
yeah, I didn't know that. I just
look at this. Look at this. This is the beginning of a new book. It's called Exopolitics 101. How Earth benefits from a representative on the Regional Galactic Governments Council.
Whoa.
And
well, hey, I'm reading about it in this book also, so it must be right.
Yeah, because this brings the message to humans. Hey, guess what? If Earth had a representative, like if you had a representative on the city council, or if you have a representative on the state legislature or on the parliament,
right,
then you could go to them and get something done, right? Well, here, how Earth benefits from a representative on the Regional Galactic Governments Council, and it's called Exopolitics 101. So it's to educate Earth humanity that has been isolated on purpose, and they don't even know that they should have a representative. So I did this, and then I wrote a paper and I put it out there. You can go to positivefuture.info, and it says, support my initiative to be an Earth representative to the Regional Galactic Governance Council. You see what I'm saying?
Hey, and look, I'm telling kids early. I'm telling kids early. The kids that are 15 are going to take your place in like 20, 30 years right here. That would be great.
Yeah. So this is like primary education. You see, we're introducing the thought. You follow what I'm saying? This is introducing the thought.
And you're still speaking to adults. Yeah, and you're introducing the thought to adults that are educated. I'm introducing the thought to kids. I'm going to start
Yeah.
taking this around to alternative schools, I think, Alfred. I think
Yeah.
I'm going to start taking this around to alternative schools.
Great, great. So thank you so much for asking that question. Did I sort of answer it or sort of begin to
Yes,
address
you did.
it?
You did. Yes, you did.
Oh, good. Well, look, you then you said, how about page 49, starting at page 49 on lucid dreaming? Do you want me to go to that passage?
Since we're talking about that, that's about lucid dreaming. What's the next one?
It says page 151 to 152, girls receive their gifts on the
Yes,
Aquarius new
let's
moon.
go to that one.
Okay, let me go to my book here. 151 to 152. Okay. And I'm just getting there now. And it says, starting with Lena and Sophia Graham. Okay, so I'm just getting to Lena. Okay, here we go. And we'll be going, ending with promise to use my gifts.
So the last quote that I had you skip was she had already welcomed the elements: earth, air, fire, water, and space. That was a rite of passage for her to receive her full powers as a psychic or telepathic. So that's what she had to do to access them. And this is them receiving their powers with reconnecting with her dead grandmother.
Okay, here we go. This is starting at page 151 on Starseed Nation, Ascension into 5D, a new book by Shar Veda, who's joining us from Lake Atitlan, Guatemala. This is the obverse of the name Guatemala. Esto es Guate bueno, Guatemejor. De Guatemala a Guatemejor. Okay. Lena and Sophia, Graham continues, quote, you have come from a long line of powerful women with special gifts. Astral travel, teleportation, telepathy, and communication with elementals and intergalactic beings among them. Once in a while, the gifts skip a generation to simmer and stew for greater strength in the following generation, as in your cases. As you well know, none of your mothers has them. Isn't that interesting? Sophia and I look at each other, memories of childhood, and wondering why we felt so different from other kids pour through our minds in a sort of mental share. Quote, because the gifts skipped your mothers, I suspect they will be strong in both of you. They are your birthright to use and craft as you please. The only requirement is, a long pause, you must promise to use your gifts for the good of all beings and not just for selfish gain. That is so true on this planet.
Yes.
Silence. Quote, do you girls, Lena and Sophia, promise to use your gifts for the good of all beings and not for selfish gain? I near to hear you speak the words aloud. When you speak the words and mean them in your hearts, your gifts will be made available. The elements and most intergalactic beings are your friends, girls, so do not be afraid. End of quote. I am the first to speak. Should we think about it a while first? It seems like a pretty big commitment. Sophia elbows me in the ribs. I jump and sputter in surprise. Speak for yourself, girlfriend. I am ready for my gifts. Can't you feel that this is how it's supposed to be? I sit for a minute and breathe in the dark with Graham's shimmering spirit and Sophia's gorgeous wild-haired dark outline, the starry sky above us swirling with ancestral yesterdays and infinite tomorrows. The blood in my veins and the marrow in my bones reach for the promise and the gifts that I know are mine. I will not overthink this because I feel it. Quote, I promise to use my gifts for the good of all beings and not just for selfish gains. I whisper meaning, every word more than I've ever meant anything in my life. I promise to use my gifts for the good of all beings and not just for selfish gains, Sophia says confidently, squeezing my shoulder. Well, that's a mantra that
Yeah.
we could all use, especially in today's world of spiritual materialism and materialism.
Hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
this is the world of materialism and even spiritual materialism, political materialism, competition, da da da. I mean, it's it's very hard. You have the whole world right now is transfixed. All television is on this great
Yeah.
drama. Did you use the nation for selfish gains?
Gosh.
You know, and so this is really kind of a universal mantra because it is the basic transition from uh, from service to self consciousness, from duality consciousness. I win, you lose
Hmm.
is the duality consciousness.
And you
To
see the shift in the book too, because her father and mother are working just for selfish gains. That's what they've been taught. You know, her father's a high profile lawyer and he fights for big business. And he's defending the chemical company DuPont that I call chemours in this, that, you know, floods the riverways on the East Coast with toxic chemicals. So he defends them as his big client. And when there's a hurricane, that's the kickoff of the book. A hurricane in North Carolina causes a chemical spill, and her father says to Lena, "Guess what this means?" And she's like, "Well, we're going to help with cleanup, right?" And he's like, "No, we're going to invest in a water substitute." And I picked up that channel too, and I think I told you that in Mount Shasta, where the big companies that are taking all the water out of Earth are coming up with a water substitute, and I believe it.
they're coming up with a water substitute, you said?
A water substitute. Probably something genetically modified.
Oh, that's that's their scheme, is to create an artificial water, to create an artificial water scarcity and then come up with a water substitute.
That will
That's their
weaken
scheme.
the species more. That will weaken the species and make us easier to control. That's the channel. I have no agenda. That's the channel that I picked up.
Oh my gosh. So this is this is what your channel said was an
Yeah.
actual agenda is going on now?
Yeah.
I can
I
see
mean,
that
big
because
companies are polluting the waterways,
water
sucking.
wars and water scarcity is one of the main memes promoted by the quote New World Order, end of quote. So that's perfectly logical that that's one of their marching memes for their propaganda. Amazing.
And this thing that you were talking about, mantra that we all could use in the book, it's like the shift of the generations. Like, we have to do it now. We have to make the shift now. It has to happen now. We can't be doing selfishness anymore for selfish gains, you know. And in one of the parts, her uncle and father say, you know, when you're wealthy, you don't have to worry about water scarcity. Okay, it's not really funny. But yes. And then that's what she finds out when she goes to the Galactic Council. Let's do that last excerpt because I'd like to do that one.
Okay, so this is 193. Okay, here we
And
go.
this is when they're inner Earth. They just transported or teleported, or I don't know what you say, into inner Earth for the first time.
Okay, so this is chapter 24, starting at the beginning of chapter 24 in Starseed Nation, Ascension into 5D, the new book by Shar Veda, who's coming to us from Lake Atitlan in Guatemala, que va a Guatemala.
I don't even know if you can see it, but I'll open it.
Oh, great. This room, okay, chapter 24. This room is a pale blue crystal like a celestite. Huh. Over 100 beings seated at a large round table turn to look at us as we walk in. Is this a channeling that you're having?
Yes.
Oh, wow. There is a kind of a projector on the ceiling, the shape of a white orb. It projects a spinning 14-point gold and silver star hologram on the shiny black round table below. About 30 humans and beings that look kind of human with white gold hair and pale skin sit among mixed galaxy beings and elementals that are definitely not human. The luminosity, oh, so this is like a galactic meeting of the Federation.
Yes, their first seat at the Galactic Council.
Oh, amazing. And so you were actually there.
As I was, I mean, yeah, I did a little bit of a remote viewing or something. I mean,
Wow.
I think it was mostly my location at Mount Shasta that helped me, and I might go back to live there.
Wow, far out. The luminosity about the sort of human beings is my only clue that they're not human. The other beings include fish-like creatures with whiskers and flat faces, blue skin and black eyes. There are gray beings shaped like the aliens you see in movies with cone-shaped heads and long necks and fingers. There are several beings that look like cats and several that resemble birds. They're your birds. A dozen or so earth elementals with dark eyes like Argata are also present. Argata waves to us and points to two open seats. Welcome, girls. Sit beside me, end of quote. Feeling super self-conscious, I look straight ahead at my seat and sit down. Trying to control my shaking hands, I fold them in my lap and look down at them. In a tight little ball on my lap, I take a sip from the flask. The water, cool and silky, calms me enough to sit tall and look around. Of the 30 or so humans, 10 are close to our age, 15 to 16. 5 are younger than us, like 10 to 12. You can tell they are super smart, though, by their calm, focused expression. There are about 10 humans in their 20s, several my parents' age, and a few could be grandparents. They all look very comfortable, and that makes me feel much more stable. My shaking becomes less severe, and I breathe a little deeper. I notice, so, excuse me, this is just a kind of a parenthetical. So that this book, Starseed Nation, is this for children or for all ages, for awakening people? Is that what it is?
all ages. It's young adult, but really for all ages.
Right. Awakening people. I noticed the boy closest to my age sitting diagonal to me at the far end of the table is the only one wearing Earth clothes. For that reason, and because he's really cute, he stands out, smiling directly at me. He pushes silky black hair behind an ear and raises an eyebrow. He is pale, lean, and muscular. He leans in, casually drumming his long fingers on a table like he's at a hometown cafe waiting for his order. I breathe deeply for the first time since I sat down and look away, a light blush burning my cheeks. I am so happy to see a boy in Earth clothes. I could melt into a puddle. Maybe I won't change next time, if there is a next time. The 14-point star symbol on the ceiling switches to an image of rotating Earth, which projects onto the round table, filling the entire surface area. Quote, members of the Galactic Council, Inner Earth Roundtable Chapter, meet the newest traveling bridges. Traveling bridges, that's what we were talking about, right? Leah Linigan and Sophia Unakanoa. What?
Yeah.
Unokanoa. How do you say that?
Unakuna.
Unakuna of North Carolina, United States of America. Agata stands behind us to make the announcement, placing a hand on my shoulder and a hand on Sophia's shoulder. Welcome, burbles a creature with blue skin like a seal, walrus-like whiskers twitching as it sniffs the air in our direction. Thank you, we say in unison. Some of us beings nod and clap. A few send greetings to us telepathically in unfamiliar galactic languages. A human girl close to our age with shaved head on one side and long rainbow hair on the other side wiggles her fingers at us. I notice she has a large rock crystal earring, a Herkimer diamond maybe, but no necklace. I touch my necklace, asking telepathically, is that your power gem? She touches her earring and smiles. Yes. Quote, now, commands Argata in a thunderous rich tone. All eyes turn from us to her. Quote, as all but the new girls know, the mission of Council is to assist Earth's ascension into the fifth dimension without wiping out the entire human race, end of quote. She looks at us gravely, thick brows knit together, full green lips in a terse straight line. I gulp. Quote, at the current alarming rate of consumption and pollution of natural resources and diseased human emotion, planet Earth must purify daily with extreme weather. She will continue sending her messengers, the elements, to cleanse toxic low vibrations of humans and half-breeds with hurricanes, wildfire, tornadoes, tsunamis, and floods in order to raise the vibration enough to enter the fifth dimension, because she must. It is up to us, members of the Council, to work with Earth and her messengers to ensure a smooth transition into 5D before all of surface humanity becomes extinct. End of quote. Okay, I want to enter in there because it's so, that's just, where, you know, there's a big, I mean, at least on this channel, we've always covered.
Let me just finish this one right here. I'm going to read this one right here. It's just
yeah, go ahead.
The words mission, new earth, advanced recalibration in just about every human language I've ever seen scrolls across the table. Galactic languages follow. A slender blue bird-like being with a beak and black marble eyes stands. His throat center swirls blue as he communicates the following telepathically. To fill you in further, Lena and Sophia from North Carolina, consider the old 7 chakra system. Are you familiar with this? Yes, I confirm. Kind of, Sophie admits. The image on the round table switches to a person seated in yoga easy pose with 7 colorful chakras: red root chakra, orange creativity chakra, yellow power chakra, green heart chakra, turquoise throat chakra, dark blue third eye chakra, and purple crown chakra. Old 3D Earth was vibrating at the 3rd chakra, like Manipura chakra, navel level, which is the seat of power. Therefore, wars, lust, aggression, and greed were common. New 5D Earth will vibrate at the 5th chakra level, the throat chakra. This new vibration is about speaking your truth and moving away from low vibrational thoughts and actions. Humans need to be recalibrated to vibrate at this higher frequency. This vibration, or this higher frequency, to align and ascend with Earth. Does this make sense? Yes, totally, I say, a bit loudly. More than half the humans, I'm skipping. More than half the humans and half-breeds on surface Earth are greedy, lustful, violent, and fearful. These emotions carry extremely toxic low vibrations, which spread like cancer, preventing Earth's full ascension. We need to raise the overall surface frequency in order for humanity to survive the ascension. Once we have a handle on raising the vibration of human species, okay, I won't go into all that part, but so that's what I thought maybe would kind of clarify.
Oh yeah, yeah. Where were you reading from? Which page in that?
No, I just skipped a few paragraphs.
Oh, okay, right. I see. Yeah. So this and this is part of what you witnessed and then what you wrote.
Right. You know, I mean, I received so much channeled information all at once when I was in Mount Shasta. I was really just trying to keep up with it, and I would have visions. I would see visions sometimes, and I would just have, words or telepathically sometimes. So I have mixed cognizances. I have, clairaudience, claircognizance, and sometimes clairvisual, and they can be mixed. So, like I said, I believe that I'm going to be able to fine tune these gifts as I get older, but I have not totally figured them out yet.
Right. Ooh. So having experienced this and now communicating this out into the world as you are, how are you finding this as it meets the world, as it meets this world that we're in? Is this a navigation tool that is actually navigating through, is this navigating through, because this creates these awarenesses, there's an interactive loop between the awarenesses that you experienced here and then that you can communicate out into the reality. How is that coming along?
Yes, and I believe that a lot of these messages were for me as well as for, the rest of the world, especially the next generation. I haven't done a bunch of promotion because I have been traveling and I have been, teaching and doing things. I'm letting it unfold naturally. And I did buy a publishing house. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it yet, though I have Starseed LLC Oregon. I own a publishing house now.
Oh, wild. And what's it called? The publishing house?
Starseed Publishing.
Starseed Publishing. Well, that's very promising. You were actually in the publishing
Yes, I've
industry
always
for
been.
a long time, right? You were in the center of the publishing industry, weren't you?
Yes, I was. I went to school for journalism, and I started out at Chelsea House Publishers in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and I was actually the assistant of a Yale emeritus, Harold Bloom. Harold Bloom, and he wrote literary criticism, and so I was his assistant.
Harold Bloom is a very famous
Yes,
English scholar. And so you were his assistant. So we all have to salute your abilities in that area. And so we're sure that the Galactic Council.
I will say for him, he did have a whole team, editor, editorial assistant, because he had a whole series of books at Chelsea House Publishers, and so there's a lot of keys.
Yeah, but you were in that milieu. Yeah, and so it must be that the Galactic Council then saw those talents and said, well, this is how we begin to bring higher vibration and ascension oriented dynamics into.
Oh, look at this guy. Look at this guy. Oh my God, don't come in. Did you see that?
Oh my Lord, what was that? What was it? What is that?
A squirrel jumped right up and looked.
Squirrel.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, you know what else is here? Huge scorpions. It was tall.
Scorpions.
Huge scorpions and huge spiders.
Aha. Well, they are the insects, right? Or from the insectoid world.
Ooh.
Right?
I know, but as much as I want to be okay with it, I'm not really okay with big insects. It still scares me a bit.
Well, you have to be kind of open-minded. When we had baseball teams in Cuba. See, I grew up in Cuba, and we had baseball teams, and my baseball teams was Almendares. Their color was blue, and their mascot was the scorpions. So I don't know. And there is a sign called Scorpio.
Yes. Oh, please. Let's talk about astrology on a different show.
So tell me, where is this journey going now? Where is this journey now? And where is this journey going? And it seems to me that you are awakening. I mean, both your book and your presence and your vibration and your words are a wake-up call to people, right? I mean, from Howard Bloom to the Ascension, correct? Isn't that it?
Yeah, I also do some writing for, I do high vibration conscious consumerism just for magazines, and I write for publishing, American Spa, so there's a little bit of that side of me. Also, so you know what, to answer your question, I don't know where it's going. I've long given up trying to have a roadmap because there are certain things I know that I will do in life, but I just don't know when. And I don't like to rush, and I don't like to really push. I like to let things naturally unfold, and there's seasons and there's, transits. So I will at one point, I'd love to talk to some people about this. I was just networking about it, networking with others. I will at some point build and create some kind of educational program or school. I think it will be a building on land. I will be a building on land for gifted children to keep their psychic abilities open and see what they can do with those psychic abilities before they close down. Because there's something called extraocular vision, and I started to research that years ago, but it's really hard to find. All kids have psychic powers, just like the language explosion, but between 4 and 7. So all kids can basically communicate telepathically if they practice, and they can basically like know, like claircognizance, what is in here. You know, if they could read, they could read it without looking at it. That is just the beginning of what I believe is the human potential and the new children coming into Earth right now. Wow, this squirrel really wants to check out what's going on in here.
Oh, look at that. Yeah, yeah.
But I'll go out there and talk to him. So that's but you know, and I almost think that a school like that would really have to be carefully handled. Well, it would definitely have to be carefully handled. But you know, because you couldn't broadcast it. You might not be able to broadcast it. I just think it might have to be a little more subtle than that. I don't have all the information yet.
Right, right. So are you thinking of starting to take this more and more public
Yes,
now, or?
I am. I'm going to do it this year, 2020. I mean, this book takes place in 2025. And I want to take it, I think I'm probably going to take it around 8th graders. And I'm maybe 7th to 8th grade. I think 8th, 7th, something like that. I'll maybe give it to a teacher first to read in the alternative schools. What's the one that's open? What's the one? Oh, Walden?
Waldorf?
Waldorf. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Waldorf. Do you think that would be good? You're kind of more open-minded to education.
Yeah. There are many schools that are open. The issue is whether they're open to the Ascension, and so technically, at this time, Ascension is sort of an equal opportunity. You can't avoid that frequency. So it just depends how, you know, I think that it's individual probably. So you would approach, you know, the individuals that would bring this information in, and maybe create some educational material, some trailers around the book that would introduce it to, first of all, to children, and then secondly to educators in schools.
Well, they're more teenagers. I mean, they would be young adults or teenagers. So, anyway.
Yeah. Now, to our readers, and so this
is all ages, though. I mean, this is all ages.
Yeah. So YouTube now has a special series of boxes you have to click if your program is for children. And so this is the first program ever on ExopoliticsTV that is for children. So we're going to, when we get to, this is streaming live on Facebook now, but when we bring it onto ExopoliticsTV on YouTube, we're going to have to click all those boxes for the first time, because this will be part of children's programming. Isn't that wonderful? And you're bringing Ascension. You're bringing knowledge of Ascension to the younger souls, and getting them out of where the dark energy has infiltrated. You know, all the power structures in finance, politics, government, media, entertainment have targeted all of the children for dark purposes, and this is for Ascension purposes, light purposes of light. So that is really good. Now, what I want to ask now is something very practical, feet on the ground, and that is how we'll put in there, but how do people get in touch with you, and how do they get in touch with your book? Do you have a website? Do you have a center? Yeah.
I do. My website is Shar Veda, SharVeda.com. And you can buy my book on the website. You can also buy it on Amazon and Kindle.
Great.
And I welcome people's thoughts, and I welcome people to contact me if they have any ideas or, you know, for the future of a girls' school. I will say I am envisioning it honestly to be opening around 2025, but I'd like to be talking to people interested in doing the same sorts of things from now until then.
You know, it's really amazing, which today's January 26, 2020. And it's really amazing that you say 2025, because you've mentioned that a number of times. And we just had just a few, you know, just this past week, we had a guest who dealt with the Ascension, and her sources say that the Ascension's going to be, you know, actually completed, or at least, boom, arrived right in the 2025-2026 area. So you're talking about opening your girls' school right in the Ascension is when it's arrived. Isn't that amazing?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, so everybody's making their plans now. Tremendous. Now tell me, we've arrived at kind of the 60-minute mark. Are there any points that you had wanted to bring up in this conversation which you had not had an opportunity to bring up yet?
If you and you'd like some copy of my book to read yourself, whether you would like them to your students, please contact me and I will send you some free copies. I'm not about making money. I am fortunate and blessed, and money comes as it comes. I would much rather give some copies out to educators, because I would like to get it in you know, in young readers' hands.
Okay, that sounded really good. The beginning of it got a bit garbled, so could you say it again, just very slowly?
Okay. If you are an educator and you work with youth, I mean, they would have to be very intelligent, you know, I would say 11 to 17, but really all ages, young people. If you work with young people who love to read and you are an educator yourself, please contact me for some discounted or free copies of the book, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. You can email me at sharon@sharveda.com.
Well, that's a wonderful offer. That really is wonderful, and I really envision and urge, you know, and hope that out of these acorns, mighty oaks will grow.
I'm not such a promoter. I have to learn self-promotion. I'm a little humble. And humbleness is great, but I have to learn a little more self-promotion. Also, if you are a new author and you'd like to learn about the offerings at Starseed Publishing, and you have a book about, you know, raising the frequency of the planet, it can be factual, it can be fiction, you know, feel free to send it. And we'll see. I already have one book that I'm publishing. I have a book that's another book to be publishing under Star for the first year, and I am in no rush. So that's neat.
Okay, that came out a little bit garbled. You said that you already have a book coming out under Starseed Books?
You are freezing on my end. Maybe it's my internet here.
No. It's the dark energy that is feeling the energy of light and ascension coming in and is getting very squeamish because it can't go up into these realms. So you already have a book underway, right?
Yes.
Well, that's great. So let us know, because we would love to have you come onto the show and talk about it, and maybe bring the author.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
Well, hey, it was great to see you. It was fun.
Yeah, thank you. And enjoy Lake Atitlan.
Oh,
And
I want to say the founder of Las Pirámides said that there is a temple under the lake, like Lake Titicaca has a temple under the lake.
yeah,
Lake Atitlan has a temple under the lake. I didn't know that.
very interesting. Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Ancient cultures. The Mayas, supposedly we had an interview earlier this week in which it was told to us that the Mayan culture, which is in Guatemala there, or was there, is actually a Venusian culture. They're from Venus.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I wouldn't guess that. But Monday I get to go to Antigua. So I'm going to Antigua, and I'm going to go check out some temples and churches for beauty.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's totally beautiful. That's great. Well, are there any summations or insights you'd like to leave our audience with?
No, I feel good. Thank you for watching, and I love to hear readers' thoughts. And again, if you are an educator who works with youth and you would like some discounted or free copies, I would be happy to send them. So reach out to me at Sharon@shareveda.com. And by the way, anything with me is always PG-13.
So, thank you very much, and it's great to be in this on this ascending Earth, in these energies, and yeah, thank you so much, and until our next,
Next time.
we look forward to your coming back again.
Okay, sounds good. Bye.
Excellent. Okay then.